Hey, savages. So we're back with another podcast and 5 days in a row. I'm feeling good about that. The idea of this podcast is Monday through Friday. So, Saturday and Sunday off. At one point I was considering doing this as a daily podcast, just 7 days a week, get an episode out and just bang through Star Trek. But I'm not doing this full time. This is a nice little hobby for me. I'm working just over part-time hours at the minute for decent enough money, but I would love to get to the point where this is the sort of content that I would love to be able to make a living at doing. But it is what it is. The podcast is getting there slowly but surely. So I need to get better at it. I just need to get better at it, and less those and actually just get my words out without actually tripping over my own thoughts and that. I think it's just the few years we've gone through with the YouTube changes and the way things are done. You really need to be careful in what way you speak whenever you're putting videos out these days. Everybody's paper thin, and people that were running YouTube for the longest time there were, they were just kind of looking for problems and taking people out for opinions that I didn't agree with. And I was doing videos on and off since 2007 thereabouts, different channels here and there. And at the beginning it was grand. The podcast here, the like of SoundCloud and iTunes and that, we're dead on over here. But I still kind of have that thing in the back of my head now where all the changes we went through with YouTube were, you were grand and everything you could put up. There's no problems. You could record pretty much anything you wanted, put it up there and whatnot. Then, monetization rolled around and they started getting really tight in what you could and you could not do. So I'm still in that mindset. That kind of trained me into thinking, okay, what can you say and what can you not say? So I kind of overthink at times on what's going to come out of my mouth. But thankfully, things are starting to change slowly but surely. I'm hoping one day we will get back to a place where the paper thin people don't have the control of oh, I'm offended, take this guy out, cancel him. Why does he need to be cancelled? Because he has opinions that are different from ours. It is an absolute flipping nightmare that someone can just disagree with people on something as stupid as a little video or an audio podcast on some pop culture stuff. And you're at the recording of this episode here, we're really seeing it with the whole Supergirl fiasco that's happening right now. But digressing as per usual, let's hit that wee intro button and get the episode started. Alright guys, let's get into it with what episode are we at? A Piece of the Action, Season 2, Episode 17 of Star Trek, the original series. This one here is a tasty little episode. Really had a good time with this one. This is one of these episodes, there's not many that you kind of sit there and you're watching it and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is a great introduction episode for someone that's kind of interested in Star Trek and has never seen it before, doesn't know where to start at. We went through one there recently with the Trouble of Troubles, which is another one. But I think this one here, A Piece of the Action, has and I haven't looked at the reception that this episode got. I love to do that on the episodes. Haven't went and looked at that yet, but I feel this one here is one of these episodes where someone that's on the outside of the whole science fiction thing, will I give Star Trek a go or will I not give Star Trek a go? This here is a tasty little episode for that sort of a person. So a piece of the action, it's in the title. A lot of gangsters in this episode. Enterprise has been ordered to Sigma Lotia to Sigma Lotia 2. I'm just saying it as I'm reading it here. I can't recall the proper pronunciation of the planet name. Lotia, let's just say. This planet, there was an exploratory vessel. The Horizon was reported missing 100 years earlier. The ship, the Enterprise, receives a message from Bella Osme, a native of Lucia, let's just say, who promises information about the Horizon and invites him down to the planet. First Officer Spock notes that their interference in the planet's development could violate the Prime Directive, and that's what's actually happened to this planet before they got there. The prior spaceship 100 years earlier, the Horizon, left something behind on the planet, and it's had a big impact on the people down there. These people are good at copying, let's just say. So anything that gets in there, they're very good at dissecting it, finding out how it works, and then integrating it into their culture, let's just say. So Captain Kirk points out that the Horizon's arrival centuries early already contaminated the culture. So Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, it's always good to see Dr. McCoy, transport down to the planet and find themselves in a city fashioned after an American-style city of the 1920s, and some of the residents appear to be gangsters carrying Tommy guns. Oxme's men meet Kirk, Spock and McCoy and escort the landing party over to his office, but while they're on their way, they observe a drive-by shooting that kills one of the guys that's there to escort them. The other continues on as if nothing had happened. When they arrive at Oxme's office, he orders the men to make a retaliatory attack against the rival gang. They hit us, you hit them harder. So this gang is led by a guy called Krakow. Spock discovers an Earth book in this guy's office that's titled Chicago Mobs of the 20s, which was published in 1992, and determines it was left by the crew of the Horizon. The people of the planet have modelled their entire society on the book. So it's just whatever you think of gangsters and the whole thing, the Godfather, this planet is, it's just gangs and just, it's all that there. It's just that anybody that wants to succeed is in the gang, or they're leading a group of criminals and taking out the competition sort of thing. They pretty much regard this book with religious reverence. It's like the Bible to them. Oxme demands the Enterprise crew supply his gang with heaters, as he calls them. Heaters being phasers. Kirk refuses. Of course, this guy then threatens to kill them. The land party is held while Oxme uses a communicator to repeat the demand to Chief Officer Scott. So Scotty's on the Enterprise, and he's trying to work out what this guy's saying, because it is like, that's the real cheesy 1920s gangster slang that this guy's talking, and it's just, if you think of a 20s gangster, it's just that plus 20. Like it's crazy. It's a great little episode, and like, again, it's good for someone that's not a big science fiction fan, interested in the show. Check it out. Kirk distracts the guards that's watching over them. They're having a poker game, and he jumps in there and tries to teach him a fictitious game of Fizbin, and he's literally just making up nonsense in the spot. This allows Spock and McCoy to overpower the guards. Spock gets in there with the Vulcan neck pinch, comes in there with a couple of times throughout this episode, even to the point where McCoy says to Spock, like, you do that so good. You do that so well. So McCoy and Spock head over to the radio station to try to contact the Enterprise to transport them back to the ship. While Krako's men manage to capture Kirk at the same time. There's a little bit of comedy in here with Spock and McCoy whenever they're trying to work out how to work this radio, 1920s style radio, to actually communicate with Enterprise. Kirk's captured, he's taken over to Krako. Krako demands phasers of Kirk as well, offering to cut him in for a third of the action. In exchange, Kirk offers a peaceful solution, but Krako refuses and confines him one more time. Also threatening to kill him by slow torture if he doesn't cooperate. Oxmay contacts the ship, informs them of Kirk's capture, and offers to help rescue Kirk if they will help him. So it's a pure gangster style. It's like, we'll do you a favour, but you do us a favour in return, and this and that and the other. Fantastic little episode. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Spock and McCoy manage to get through the Enterprise, return to try and work out what's going on, but they have to return to the planet after all that. They're captured by Oxmay. At this point, Kirk has managed to engineer his own escape and arrives in Oxmay's office in time to rescue Spock and McCoy. And he's like, I thought I told you guys to get out of here. And Spock's like, we did, but we had to come back. Now we're caught again. So there's a lot of dry wit and humour throughout this episode. Brilliant. The three of them set this plan in motion. They get into suits and hats from Oxmay's men. Of course, Spock and McCoy was caught. Kirk bursts in with a gun, threatens everybody. The Vulcan neck pinch comes out again. Overpower the guys, get a couple of suits. And Kirk and Spock return to Krako's office and gain entrance with the help of a local child. Nor a little bit of comedy in there, which I really enjoyed, was like the old 20s cars. Spock and Kirk jump into one, and Kirk's trying to work out how to drive the damn thing. The little bit of comedy in there, the comedy value, great in that episode. At one point in the episode, whenever they're leaving, they have to go back again. Spock is like, do we really have to take the car? And Spock's like, you're not scared of cars, are you? And he's like, no, not scared of cars, Captain, but you're driving, terrified, more or less. So the title of the episode is a piece of the action, of course, and you get that in this part of the episode where they meet this kid that helps them to subdue Krako's men by distracting them. And the kid tells him, I'd help you out if I can get a piece of the action, more or less. So he gets a piece of the action by distracting them, sort of thing. So, like as I say, this book, Left Behind, and Chicago gangsters of the 20s, everybody's looking for a piece of the action, even this kid. So he gets in there, distracts the guys. This gets Kirk and Spock back into Krako's office. Kirk informs Krako that he's the only way out of this for Kirk right now is to play the game. They can try and negotiate all they want, but these guys clearly are gangsters, and that's all they know. And Kirk's like, we're going to have to play the game here, and he does, and he plays it in good style. He gets into the whole style, he's in the clothes and whatnot, and he changes his voice, he gets the inflections and everything proper, and he lands in there and he says to this guy, do you know what, the Federation has taken over the entire planet, but if Krako helps to maintain order and be a willing agent for the Federation, they'll give him a piece of the action. Krako agrees, they're talking to him on his terms, but to be safe, Kirk transports him up to the Enterprise. They then head back to Oxmay and make him the same offer, and he accepts. They're going to get a meeting of the all the planet's bosses at the same time. So Kirk's like, ring this guy up and we'll get him here, sort of thing. So every time your man rings up a different boss, the Enterprise traces the call, essentially, and transports the guy from the other end of the phone into the office. So up towards the end of the episode, all the bosses are together. Kirk's telling them, he's laying down the bottom line here is like, you guys don't stand a chance against the Federation. You either work with us or we're going to take you out and you'll not get a piece of the action, all this sort of good stuff. While this meeting's happening, Krako's men attack Oxmay's headquarters, but the Enterprise, at the orders of Kirk, uses the actual phasers of the ship set to stun to take out everybody in the street, and this is a big show of power for the bosses. And when they see that happening, they're like, we can't stand up against the Federation. Both Oxmay and Krako realise this is it. We have to work with them. Kirk installs Oxmay as the top boss, with Krako as his lieutenant, and states that the Federations, there's only one. He states that there'll be a ship from the Federation coming once a year for a 40% cut of the planet's action. So that's it. End of the episode. I need a cough. Sorry if I blew your speakers out there. Of course, at the end of most episodes of Star Trek, you get that little comedic moment on board the Enterprise on the bridge. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, they're talking about the whole situation, and how's the Federation going to take the news about the Federation getting 40% cut of the action of this planet after the Prime Directive been trampled over and whatnot. Kirk proposes that the Federation's cut be used in the planetary fund to guide the Lotians into becoming a more ethical society and trying to get them away from the gangster way of living. McCoy then reveals at the end of the episode that he accidentally left his communicator on the planet, and Kirk and Spock notes that the people of this planet, that one of the things they're best at is working things out and integrating it into their community. Like, this could be disasters for the future. And Kirk states at the end of the episode, amusingly, that the Lotians may one day, because of McCoy's mistake and them working out this communicator and the technology in it, one day they may be in a position to demand a piece of our action. And we cut out at the end of the episode. That is great, tasty little episode. I really did enjoy it. And if you didn't watch yesterday's or listen to yesterday's episode of the podcast, I did warn you about this chair. You can hear it there in the background, ready to fall from there. The other thing you're probably going to hear in the background is a flipping load of tractors driving past the office here. I'm right beside a main street here. I need to upgrade to a better studio at some point, but as long as nobody gives a damn and not listening to this podcast, that's not likely to happen. Let's get into some of is there any reception for this episode? Let me just take a little look online. Zach Hanlon of the AV Club in 2009 gave the episode a B+ rating, noted that it is a very silly hour of track and it's a wonderfully entertaining one. Absolutely agree with that 100%. A 1995 newspaper fan vote for the worst episode of the series nominated this episode The Children Shall Lead. That doesn't make any sense. 1995 newspaper vote for the worst. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Weird. We'll forget about that one. I'll just go on to the next one. In 2013, Wired magazine rated this episode one of the top 10 episodes of the original television series. 2015, Polygon ranked a piece of the action as one of the 3 best Spock-centric episodes of Star Trek. They praised the actor Leonard Nimoy for his portrayal of Spock with dry, calculated wit. He is. He's absolutely fantastic in this episode. There is little comedic moments, especially whenever Kirk's getting into that point where he's talking the gangster talk, walking the gangster walk, and Spock is there in the background, and like he's trying his Vulcan best to try and do it too. Some good eye roll moments for Kirk in the episode because of that. In 2016, The Hollywood Reporter ranked A Piece of the Action as the 12th best television episode of all Star Trek franchise television shows prior to Star Trek Discovery, including live action and animated series, but not counting the movies. 2018, Collider ranked the episode the 18th best original series episode. 2018 Star Trek Binge Watching Guide by the Den of Geeks recommended the episode as one of the best of the original series. In 2019, the episode was noted as the 8th funniest episode of Star Trek franchise. 2020, Deadline, Hollywood and IndieWire cited A Piece of the Action as the episode that influenced Quentin Tarantino's pitch for an unproduced Star Trek film developed as a potential Star Trek reboot that would serve as a film prequel to Star Trek the original series. I do recall reading something about Quentin Tarantino pitching a Star Trek movie, and I thought to myself that would be really interesting, and I hadn't made the connection just until I read that right there. But that would be like if you took this episode and everything that happens in it and put a Quentin Tarantino kind of edge to it, it would be brilliant. I've no doubt of that in my mind. In 2021, Den of Geek ranked this the 5th best episode of the original series, noting how it demonstrated the range and genres Star Trek can enter, as well as praising its comedic elements. Again, absolutely fantastic. I agree with all of that. And again, that's everything for the reception that I can find there. But this again, it's one of those episodes. If someone's interested in science fiction and they're not sure where to start, and Star Wars is always, there's a little bit of humor in there, but it's for the most part it's mostly serious and whatnot. But the range in Star Trek is phenomenal. This definitely, between this episode and The Trouble of Tribbles, point people towards them too if they're interested and don't know where to start. There's definitely a good entry point right here. So that's season 2 episode 17, A Piece of the Action. I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. As always, if you'd be nice enough, go and check out the website coinsagemedia.com for everything else we're doing. And if you want to contact me directly, the best way to do it, I think, would be the email, Sceam Me Up Botty @gmail.com, and we'll keep working our way through this Monday through Friday, and hopefully at some point I'll get comfortable enough behind the microphone that I will not be between every sentence and couple of 3 words that I say, I'll not say anymore. What an hole. Right, that's going to do it, guys. Stay safe. I will talk to you in the next episode. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.